Good evening, everyone. On behalf of SRCC Wings of Fire, I welcome you all to the webinar. In these unprecedented times, it is technology that has kept us together. Keeping the increasing importance of technology in mind, we present to you a webinar on global opportunities for finance professionals and emerging technologies. We welcome our speaker, Mr. Shripal Jain, who is a CA, CPA, and the co-founder of Simandhar Education. He has also been recognized as the best entrepreneur of Telangana in 2018 and is a frequent speaker at corporates like AIG, EY, DE Shaw, Reliance Jio, and several others. We are grateful to have you with us today, sir. We look forward to hearing from you. Throughout the session, I request all the participants to keep their microphones on mute so that the flow of the session is not disturbed. We will also be having a Q&A round at the end of the session through which all the queries can be addressed. The attendees can ask their questions through the chat box.
First of all, thank you for a grand introduction about me. So before I share the screen about some of the stuff which I'll be presenting today, so I hope everyone is able to see the screen now, and I think we are on our way to kind of talk about the various qualifications today and the various opportunities which the chartered accountants are having today, right? So apart from being most of them who are pursuing the CAs here, so today we will be talking about the various qualifications what we have and what are some of the things which we are looking for being a chartered accountant. So I don't know how many of them are pursuing CAs here and how many of them are non-pursuing CAs or the candidates here, taking it as a mixed audience. So today we will be talking about the various courses, and then we will be talking about the various technology programs like blockchain, artificial intelligence, and data analytics. So as you know that the first qualification which we are going up with is US CPA. So the great news about the US CPA is that the qualification have come in India. So previously the exam was not in India. So thereby a lot of the things were going on, whether the chartered accountant students today, in order to pursue a global qualification, how do they go outside? Because the US CPA typically used to be held in Dubai and in US. And this year it was brought to India. And thanks to COVID, which kind of made the exam to be coming to India today. And if you see the eligibility also, a lot of the people who are pursuing the chartered accountants, they are eligible for the US CPA course. And provided they have done it in the first division in the BCom. So BCom is a mandatory thing in order to do a CPA. And that's where we normally suggest the candidates who are pursuing the US CPA qualification to do a BCom. Now, what is US CPA? Like in India, we have chartered accountancy. In US, the chartered accountants are known as certified public accountants. Now, so why do you tell us that? Why is that gaining significance? Because the very reason is a lot of the US companies are coming to India after the very bad relationship what China and US today are enjoying. And that is what now have coming India now. So because a lot of the US companies see the potential in India, and that's why we are seeing a lot of the shared services work, the FP&A work is getting more outsourced to India. And thereby we are seeing the demand for the international qualifications along with local qualification is adding an added advantage. And that's where we are thinking that a CPA would definitely add a good value add, considering that a lot of the US companies today are in India. If you say examples of Facebook, Apple, Accenture, Diageo have come with their shared services now, and you had PepsiCo coming up in Hyderabad. So a lot of these US companies are coming to India and they are looking for a qualification which looks more international, whereby the student can know about US accounting, which is US GAAP, and US tax. And that's where we are seeing the demand for US CPA is actually on a higher level now. A lot of the openings opening up in big fours like in Deloitte, EY, KPMG, PwC. And even if you see on LinkedIn today, a lot of the opportunities are coming up in these companies as well. So if you see there, where is the exam conducted? Now, if you see that the exam is in India, and it was previously being held in Bahrain, Brazil, Kuwait, Japan, Lebanon, the UAE, and now in India in 2020. So if you see there, very easy exam, though they say, but not so like that, because it is little multiple choice questions of 50% and multiple task-based simulation, which is case law based pattern is 50%. So if you see there, 50% is multiple choice and 50% is case law based. Even if you see the Institute of Chartered Accountancy of Examination today, they have also designed their curriculum more into MCQs and case law based. Overall, we are seeing already the trends are changing in ICI curriculum as well. and they are also adding the content more on MCQ and task-based simulation based. Considering the latest things which have happened in the corrections and all sort of stuff, we are seeing the content is more tested on MCQs and simulations. So there are 4 subjects. If you see in CPA, you have auditing, you have financial accounting and reporting, you have regulation, and you have business environment and concepts. So these are the 4 papers of US CPA exam. Typically, it's a 4-hour exam and a minimum score of 75 is required on each and every part. Now, with the US CPA, can I move on to US, Canada and all? Definitely yes. The answer is, but this is not an entry kind of moving to that particular locations, because a visa and an experience is very important. So can we conclude that with the US CPA, we can move on there? Definitely the answer will be no. But yes, after you go in with a valid visa, valid work permit, and valid experience in India, gaining 2 to 3 years, and then I think US CPA will be more preferred qualification in US, because this is not a qualification to get an entry into the US and into the Canada by any means. Even the Canadian CPA also is not an entry to going into those locations. What is important for us to understand is these are the qualifications which will help after we go there. So that's where we are talking about the word global here in our professional community today in our presentation also, because this qualification will give you the international accounting standards knowledge and US taxation knowledge and more to do with the US GAAP and auditing standards. So these are some of the things which we are seeing in CPA. So this was about CPA. Next comes the US CMA, which is again a US based management accountancy qualification. Because CPA has certain stringent requirements, CMA doesn't have those stringent requirements. So even if you are pursuing bachelor's, so you can do a US CMA. Now, how is that different? Like in India, we have the Indian cost accountancy. The US cost accountancy is known as US CMAs. They're typically hired by Amazon, Google, and these are the companies which look for the US CMAs for their FP&A practice. But again, you require a good amount of experience. Freshers, there are hardly any jobs for this qualification. But yes, with experience, I think this qualification looks a very good positive for many of the students. Again, the candidates must complete 2 continuous years of experience in management, accounting, and financial management in order to get this certificate. If you see that the exam is in India and there are only 2 parts for CMA, so part 1 and part 2, so only 2 papers you need to pass in order to get the US CMA certification. So there are around 100 MCQs and 2 essays, and overall around 75% you need to get in order to pass the CMA exam. Same goes in for CPA. Also, you need to get overall 75% correct in order to pass the CPA exam also. So if you see that the content is more MCQ and essay based, and unlike our Indian chartered accountancy and Indian cost accountancy, these exams can be completed in a shorter period of time. So they don't take like 4 years, 3 years, because there is no internship requirement in either of the qualifications. So that's where they become little popular. So people who want to make a career in external audit, in US based audit, can opt for CPA. And people who want to make their career in financial planning and analysis, who want to look for business finance, who want to look for deal pricing and all sort of stuff, US CMA is definitely a good qualification to watch out for. And there are 2 parts, part 1 and part 2. I'm not going into the content more because I'm just limiting it to the features of the qualifications. So part 1 and part 2, same like in CPA, we have the US accounting, US audit, US tax, but in CMA, you don't have any US tax subject as such. So it's more to do with corporate finance. It's more to do with management accounting qualification, and it is more futuristic in its approach. So if you see there, all the CPA and the international accounting qualifications today have brought technology and analytics in their curriculum. I see that in the Indian qualification, we haven't added the technology and analytics part, but I'm pretty sure that ICAI will definitely add those 2 things as well. So if you see that technology and analytics, which is robotic, process automations, blockchain, data analytics, that have been added in the curriculum itself of CPA and CMA. Even in CPA, we are seeing that a lot of the content on data analytics is getting tested in audit. So that's where the objective of talking about these qualifications, guys, is to tell you that technology have become a very integral part. So previously, the roles when I talk today to corporates, to CFOs and all, when I give sessions at various US-based MNCs, so now the trend is changing. So they are not looking for financial analysts, they are looking for technology analysts. So they're looking for more techno-functional roles where you have a knowledge of technology as well as you have a knowledge of finance. So both going hand to hand. So that is where these qualifications are also being adding up the technology curriculum. So that's what we are saying in part one. Part two, in part one, if you see in USCMA, they have added technology and analytics curriculum, and it is very in depth. If you see that there are around 150 pages for that content standalone, I'm telling. Then you see that diploma in IFRS. So this is one more standard, which there's one more qualification, or I would say a certification, which have come forward. People who have a 2 years of relevant accounting experience can opt for diploma IFRS. So if you see there in DIP IFRS, why do you tell, sir, why is diploma IFRS is a good added advantage for being global? If you see that a lot of the companies today in India are using IFRS, in other countries also people have adopted to IFRS. And any guesses, guys, how many IFRS are there currently? Okay, so see there, guys. So we have overall around 17 IFRSs. So 16th IFRS is leases, and the last IFRS, which is a insurance standard, which have been deferred. So 2024, that standard will come into play. And they are telling about 2023, but again, it might get deferred to 2024. So that is, so I think Gurmeet was right in talking about that there are 17 international financial reporting standards, and they are being aligned with India's today what we in India we have. So we have also converged with Indian accounting standards. I mean, hardly any differences between India's and IFRS, little carve-in and carve-outs which we have with respect to business combination and all. But this is a very, very important thing which is coming up in demand now, because a lot of the companies in India are following IFRS, right? And a lot of the companies in US and UK are also following IFRS by default. A lot of the UK companies in US are also listed, and then those UK companies coming to India, and even in your US CPA curriculum, IFRS is being added. So if I tell a person who's a chartered accountant who's pursuing CA, I think diploma in IFRS is a very good certification to have, not so costly, takes lesser period of time, and now in demand because next year we might see banks and all also taking up in India. So they might also, right now NBFCs and banks are not, have not converged with IFRS at all. So we might see that once they also start using it, the opportunities for this also will increase accordingly, right? So this is about diploma IFRS. So now the content have changed. I think the PPT which I have is around what, 40 marks for MCQs and 60 marks for essays. Now there are only 4 questions which is coming up of 25 marks each in IFRS examination. So 25 into 4, 100 marks is a paper, and you need to score minimum of 50%. Very much accepted, very, very heavy, high in demand with the corporates. So a lot of them do prefer diploma IFRS certification also. So people who are looking for reporting profile, who want to go into corporate finance, who want to make their career in balance sheet, financial reporting, consolidation. So this is the must watch qualification for you, right? Next, we have the enroll agent, which is a US tax qualification. So EA is one. Why have I added today in our PPT is EA, what we are seeing is a lot of the US tax work is getting outsourced to India. And we see that opportunities for US taxation work will go up exponentially. And that's where you see in LinkedIn, a lot of the US tax jobs are coming up. So today, when you glance through LinkedIn, you see a lot of the opportunities for enroll agent, which is nothing but it is also a US based taxation exam, little different from CPA. Like some of them have asked me question, how is it different from CMA? CPA, how is it different from CMA? So CPAs are majorly into audit. CMAs are majorly into financial reporting. I mean, financial analysis. So they are majorly internal FP&A, which they do their analysis. CPA is more into audit. And the pattern is also different. CPA has 4, CMA has 2. And then we have EA, which is completely focused on US tax. And why I say so, that it is a very important qualification, because the relationship again with China is not there. We are seeing a lot of the tax work is getting up. We are seeing a lot of these CPA firms, the US based accounting firms. So previously we had Deloitte, we had KPMG, EY, PwC. Now we are seeing Eisner Amper, Citrin, Baker Ellis. So these are all the top popular CPA firms are also coming into India and trying to open their offshore operations here. So that's where EA qualification which is focused more on US tax would definitely help the candidates. So if you see there again, there are only 3 parts for EA, part 1, part 2, part 3. And I can see that none of the candidates today or the CA students are even aware of what is EA, what is CPA, what is USCMA. But let me tell you, the job opportunities for this qualification now will increase like anything. Already we are seeing that people are getting a lot more jobs in CPAs, CMAs and all, and the same equally applies to EA also. So EA and regulation of USCPA are similar. Yes, Gurmeet, that's right. So USCPA regulation and enroll agent taxation are one and the same. It's just that EA goes in deep of the structure, and CPA doesn't go into more of a US tax in deep, and EA can represent before the attorney. Like in India, we have the tax return preparers, the chartered accountants who can represent before the commissioners and all. So there you can represent before IRS. So that is one of the good, I would say, a positive point about EA exam, because it's a federal designation and it is the most respected qualification of US today. What is the initial packages provided after clearing this exam is what Harshit is asking. So mostly I think 5.5 to 6 lakhs is the initial package, and that is a compensation which is there in India. In US again, the packages are like $1 lakh, $80,000. But I don't want to tell you all wrong things, because end of the day, you know, the taxation of US is also higher. So net your benefits are the same, just that you might earn another 6 to 7 lakhs extra if you're employed in US. Though you might get 60 lakhs INR as a package, but if you see the savings standard of living there, you might end up saving only 12 to 13 lakhs. So I would say that the compensation is very much similar to what we have in, I would say CA has around 7.5 lakhs package, and they come at around 5.5 to 6 lakh packages. So that is like 1.5 lakh is the compensation difference, but the respect also is the same, because EA is highly respected, and same goes with CPA because they have the signing power. So EA has a power to file the tax returns. So a lot of the chartered accountants guys today who are enrolled with us as students in Samandar also, when I take our classes there, we see a lot of the chartered accountants doing this work, whereby they are getting the US tax work here in India. So the demand for US taxation work is more than, I would say, US accounting work. So what are the importance and significance of CFA exam in the industry? So I haven't captured CFA. Before that, I wanted to do on CIA, but since Madhur have asked that question, so I would say CFA is standalone is very difficult to get a job. And reason I say that is, first is the financial services industry is going to a downturn. And that's where we see that, job opportunities for accountants are always there. For taxation, it is always there, because it is everyday work for a company. But hiring in IBs and all, it is very seasonal, and it is very much only dependent on the businesses, right? So CFAs are more specialized in their equity research, in corporate finance, and the more they do in the analytics, in the stock market, derivatives, these are the profiles, risk management profiles. So these are very much in demand for CFAs. But the only thing what I see in CFAs is I don't see the career growth of CFA. I mean, I can't see a CFA becoming partner or a manager, because CFA doesn't have any management accounting subjects as such. So that's why you see that a lot of the people who do CFA, so they normally do an MBA along with it. Why do they do so? Because they don't get a promotion if they are CFA standalone, right? So that's where the demand for the CFA, I would say, along with CFA, it is better to pursue an MBA, or better to pursue an BBA. That would kind of contribute more in order to grow in your career in the investment banking. Right now, the job opportunities are not so high unless it is JP Morgan, because if you see there, what's happening with JP Morgan and all these bigger banks hiring also. So you might be surprised that JP Morgan is hiring a lot of resources, right, in India. And the reason is, if you see that a lot of the money is being printed by US. So when a lot of money printing is done, the free flow of money goes into the larger banks. And that's why we see that JP Morgan profitability is increasing quarter on quarter. And that is the reason why these larger investment banks are hiring CFAs. But again, they will not hire a freshers in this COVID time. So you need to have certain experience in order to get that. And CFA again need a BCom. Even if you're in a BCom final year, you can write the exam, or I would say you can start preparing for it. And there are 3 parts for CFA. CFA L1, L2 and L3. So level 2 and level 3 is more of a descriptive part. And now it has been made online from this year. I mean, from December onwards. And next year we'll have 4 times the CFA exam. I haven't captured that in the PPT, because I think I missed out CFA qualification, but that is also one of the very good qualification along with FRM, which is financial risk management. So we are seeing the risk management profiles are growing. The reason why this risk management profiles are growing is due to the COVID thing. A lot of the risk which are coming up, exchange rate risk, volatility risk, market risk, interest rate risk. So a lot of the risk are not getting managed properly, and they need a lot of risk management people now in the industry, especially the IBs and all. So that's where you see FRM and CFA getting a good demand right now, but not for the freshers, I would say. And only in the bigger IBs, the hiring is going on, unlike big fours, which hire a lot of CPAs, CMAs, and all, because they are more on accounting side. The opportunities are higher, guys, to be honest. But on the finance side, on the investment banking side, the opportunities are not so higher, I would say. And they're very limited, but the packages could range from 9.5 to 8.5 to 9 lakhs. That would be the starting packages for CFAs, unless until, I mean, a lot of the chartered accountants do CFAs, and for them it is 9.5. And if you're a CFA standalone, I think 5.5, or Karvi also pays 4.5 lakhs also. Is that clear, Madhur? So then we have a certified internal audit. So this is one qualification, the people who want to make their career in internal audit. So this is one of these examination which is very, very popular in US. The certified internal audit, they are the ones who are very, very popular, and the only institute today in the world who's regulating the audit, internal audit profession, which is IIA, Institute of Internal Audit, right? So that is the only institute in the world who's regulating the internal audit profession. See, even in CPA, in accounting, we have a lot of CPAs, ICAI, we have other institutes who are regulating the accounting profession. So there are a lot of accounting professions, but not so with the audit, guys. In audit, if you see there, in audit, you have only one institute, which is Institute of Internal Audit, which is IIA of US. In India also, they have their branches. So IIA India regulates the CIA here. So if you register with IIA India, so typically you get certain discounts, and this qualification is gaining a lot of importance for the people who want to have their career in internal audit. I think this is a very, very good qualification. So any BCom guys can do this, but you will need to have a minimum of 2 years of experience in order to get this certificate. You see, the fees also is not more than 40 to 50,000 INR. That's the exam fees I'm talking about, right? And then the CFA exam content, CIE exam content is more of multiple choice questions. So it is 125 MCQs, 100 MCQs, and 100 MCQs. So it is more to do with multiple choice question. Very, very easy exam. You will be amazed, guys. This is the first body which have introduced remote exams. So you can sit at your home and write the exam through a proctor. And then it was followed by ACCA and all. Not a big fan of ACCA I am, because I don't see any UK companies in India, unfortunately, because that is one reason I don't talk much on ACCA, because if I want to do a diploma IFRS, and I would consider DIP IFRS and ACCA as one and the same. But again, ACCA is a very globally recognized qualification outside India. In India, I see limited opportunities. That is as per my experience. I might be wrong also, guys, but that's what I have seen with my corporate experience, with my conversations with various companies where I have given my sessions. So I can conclude conclusively that ACCA will not have that many opportunities what we see in these other US qualifications, because US kind of dominates in every country. And that's where we see that much of these qualifications have good demand, right? Ashish is asking one question, if you guys don't mind, I'm taking up that. Can a CFA charter holder will become CFO of a company? I think definitely he can't become, because he will need to have an MBA also along with that, or he'll need to have a chartered accountancy, something where he can have a management subject. So CFA standalone, I would say, is a very difficult choice, Ashish. I've not seen anyone who's a standalone CFA getting to a CFO position of a big company, right? Of a good company. Smaller companies, they might, but a good company would definitely prefer a CFA plus IIM, MBA, or CFA plus a good MBA college. Typically, that would be a good combination, or a CA plus CFA, or CPA plus CFA. That should be a good combination, right? And then in CIE exam, the passing percentage is 75%, same like CPA, CMA, EA. EA have 80%, you need to get it right. In CPA, CMA, CIA, you need to get 75% correct, right? So 3/4 of that is correct. And in IFRS, 50% correct, right? That is too much of a qualification. See, why I have taken up session today also, I'm seeing all the CA students are looking for various options along with CA. But I see some of the institutes are trying to degrade that and trying to promote this as a standalone. I don't think so that can survive. You should definitely have a CA along with that, or a CA qualification along with that, so that you can be better placed in the market today. Because of so many, see what is happening in chartered accountancy exam, guys, is a lot of the people are writing second attempt, third attempt and all, and they are failing the CA exam. Now what happens after they clear, at the end of the day, when they pass the CA exam, they are not getting jobs in Big Four. Why? Because attempts are being counted. Why are they counting attempts, sir? Because there is a cultural problem in Big Fours. You cannot have 28, 27 years person with a 21, 22-year lad, right? So that's why they think that second attempt, first attempt, they normally prefer those guys because of the cultural mix. And that's where we tell that a person who have failed couple of or thrice in CA, they should definitely have a good option along with them, like DIPA IFRS or a CIA or a CPA or a CMA or a EA or a IFRS or a anything which interests him, anything which he feels that where he needs to specialize. A lot of these CA students today, when I was, so I have been the corrector also with ICI, so I have been examiner with ICI. So when I see their answers and when I correct the papers at that time, not now, so don't think that the last 2 years or 3 years I'm not there with the ICI correction department. But what I have seen is, now the people who are selecting the qualification have absolutely no knowledge. Why are they selecting that? Because end of the day, they wanted to love more into financial research. Some of them wanted to do into audit. Some of them wanted to do FP&A work. Some of them never wanted to do journal entries. Then why are you selecting that qualification, guys? So you select qualification as per your specialization. That would make more sense than selecting any qualification like that. Are you getting it? So suppose your passion is audit, internal audit, you want to do more of a risk management work, you want to go more into auditing field, then I think you should definitely go for CIA. Right? If your passion is more to do with equity research, stock markets, you read daily newspapers, you track stock market, you try to gain a lot of the expertise there, then CFA or FRM should be a good qualification that. Right? So these are certain important qualifications. I don't know any institute who are training for FRM, but that's a good qualification, I would say, CFA and FRM. But again, it depends on your interest. If you're looking for more of a US based audit, if you want to move abroad, I would say after getting the valid visa or experience requirement in India, I think CP and CMA plays a good job, right? So that's where I think these are some of the things which you need to take a call where your interest is. CA intermediate plus ACCA, I would say that is it a good combination to get an articleship in big firms? I would say CA intermediate is standalone itself is sufficient to get a articleship. Why do you need an ACCA? Because Indian firms don't even know what is ACCA, right? Because they are Indian firm, they are practicing Ind AS. You can go into UK firms, then they might value ACCA. So what are the UK companies today in India? We have so many US companies. We have Accenture, Capgemini, Cognizant, Deloitte, EY. So EY have a UK practice. So I think EY ACCA might be very valuable. So EY hires a lot. Even Grant Thornton for some time was hiring, but I don't know, the hirings have gone down for ACA and ET as well, right? Because I don't see much hirings now from their end also. So I would say CA intermediate plus ACA. I don't think so. That's a combination to get into articleship in big firms. In EY, you can try your luck, but in Deloitte, they have no value for ACCA. Because we are tied up with Deloitte. That's why I'm telling you guys. I'm not telling something without any experience. Even CFA will not have any value in Deloitte. Only you will have value in valuation, right? So you need to understand which profile you want to target it. Do you want to go into a valuation field? Do you want to do a financial modeling? You want to do equity research? Then Big Fours, you'll need to target the valuation and transaction advisory services of Big Four, which are dealing with mergers, acquisition field. Then your CFA will make sense. I have placed a lot of the candidates in Deloitte with CFA qualification with chartered accountancy. Standalone CFA finds very difficult. So we are also placing a lot of the people in Deloitte with CFA plus CA. So if you want to go into a valuation field, I think that's a good combo which you can have, right? Anyways, so CIA, the practice of internal audit, a lot of ITs have come. People used to tell ISCA is a very bad thing which Institute of Chartered Accountancy have introduced. I would say that is now is the new trend. Technology is becoming so important. So I would say ISCA was a subject which should have been kept in our curriculum. I don't know why that have been little upside downside, right? Because IT is also being added in every qualification now in CIA, in CPA, CMA, right? So IT is becoming very, very popular trend now. So with the current trend of or focusing 10 towards analytics, is CMA garnering more demand among employers? I would say because management accounting is something to do with decision making. right? So that way, I think that is helping them because their demand is growing, because financial accounting and all you can automate. What you cannot automate is decision making. Though you have artificial intelligence, though you have technology to automate some of the stuff, but the problem is you cannot automate the decision making, you cannot automate the experience, right? And that's why I think a CMA is a futuristic qualification, I would say. So management accounting, not of India, I would say, but of US, because they have added a lot of technology. Even SEMA have added a lot of technology in their content. But Indian ICAI, I think they need to upgrade their portion with a lot of the technology, because they'll get very easily outdated with their curriculum and their content, right? Okay, any questions still here, guys, before I move on to the technology part? I think because before we move on to the technology, it would make more sense to do the Q&A. So I have few questions which I can take it up. So I'm in an indirect tax profile at EY as an analyst, being semi-qualified chartered accountant. So will EA be beneficial for me? I don't think so. Enroll agent have any role to do with your indirect tax profile. So if you're talking about indirect tax profile, is it about US indirect tax or Indian indirect tax? If you're talking about Indian indirect tax, then enroll agent will have no role at all, because that has nothing to do with that. But if you're looking for EY GDS, which is a Global Delivery Services of India, so they hire Indian indirect tax, I think that will have no role of EA there. So you might actually become more into international taxation and use that knowledge more. But then I would say if you're specializing only in Indian indirect tax, I don't think so. Enroll agent would be a good qualification to have it at your end, right? It's more to do with US taxation. Do you actually think CA roles would be ahead with the introduction of more and more digital currencies throughout the globe? So the problem is, I don't think that CA is going, actually, I would say right now, CA is going nowhere. The problem is the content needs to be updated as soon as possible, because that is one thing which we are looking for, and we are praying ICI to do it as soon as possible. And if that comes up faster, I think the technology and the, see, you're talking about digital tech currencies, but where is the blockchain being introduced in the curriculum? So till blockchain is not introduced, how will you understand the digital currencies like Bitcoin or Ethereum or all those cryptocurrencies what are being introduced, or any of the digital currencies today? China have introduced their own digital currencies. India is also coming up with their own digital currencies. But you as a chartered accountant should know how those currencies operate, right? For that, you will need to know what is the underlying technology which is being used. So that is what would be a challenge, I would say. And that's where the technology content need to be added as soon as possible in the CA content. What is the scope of chartered accountants in future? Chartered accountants, I myself chartered accountant, and I see my future was, I mean, my past was very beautiful, and I don't find any reason why your future cannot be beautiful. So chartered accountants is a top qualification today, right? In India, I think everywhere they are being hired. It's just that we are talking about an additional qualification just because the competition is more, because a lot of the chartered accountants are coming up in the market. So if you want to be selective in the market and make your resume more appealing, then I think it makes sense to have an additional qualification. Else, chartered accountants is more than sufficient, right? And they are all add-ons after you pass the CA. So is there any professional course on forensic audit? I think CFE, which is Certified Fraud Examiner, and I think even Institute of Chartered Accountants of India have come with forensic standards. A couple of days back, they have been introducing the forensic standards specifically, and assessment standards. So that's where you might see that there is a reason why they are doing it, because we see a large scope of forensic and internal audit profession. And that's where we are seeing a lot of job opportunities in these two things, apart from the routine accounting jobs and all. So that's where we see that, yes, CFE would be a good qualification if you're looking for more into forensic audits and all, along with a chartered accountancy, right? How to choose between a CA and CMA? I would say it depends completely on your interest, whether you want to go with a chartered accountancy or whether you want to go with a CMA. But again, if you want to opt into financial planning and reporting and you're not a big fan of passing journal entries and all, then CMA is a good qualification. Because if you don't like accounting, then go into management accounting, which is more to do with decision making and analysis. If you're looking for accounting and all, more audit and all, then I would say chartered accountancy is a better choice, because CMA is more specialized towards management accounting, right? So how to cope up with technological advancement that will be coming our way after becoming a chartered accountant? Institute of Chartered Accountancy has a blockchain course, which you can do it. artificial intelligence course, AI is being run. A lot of the central council members post on LinkedIn about various technology courses. So after becoming a CA, you can do it. But I would have actually encouraged institute to add into their curriculum itself. But nevertheless, if you have become a CA, then after CA becoming a member, you would be eligible to do those courses of technology, right? So could you please suggest which course would be beneficial with Indian IDT profile to work globally? I think enroll agent or CPA. I think that would make you more opportunities. But again, that indirect taxation should have a global taxation added to it. Then EA would make sense, or a CPA would make sense, or an international taxation from ICI would also make a good qualification or a good certification, right? Okay. And the next, CPA package and career growth. So I would say CPA packages we have already covered. So the minimum CTC for a CPA is 6.5 to 7 lakhs. And the career growth is you can look for a partner in a big four. VBA plus CA, good combination. Yes, that's a terrific qualification because you have a management, you have a basic management, and you have a chartered accountancy. It's a good qualification. Is there any course on blockchain for CA students? No. I'm an economics honors graduate. Can I apply for CMA? Definitely yes. You can definitely do a US CMA qualification. Okay. And I'd start off with blockchain. So last, I think 15 to 30 minutes is what I have because I have another session at 6:15. So I'll have to run forward before that. So this 30 minutes I'll be spending on technology purely. Any guesses, guys? What do you think? What is blockchain? Yes, so much of talks about blockchain and all. What do you think? What should be a blockchain? Decentralized network is what they are telling. Okay. Next, that's a good answer. Next, anyone else about blockchain? Yes, anyone about the blockchain? Decentralized ledger. Okay. Yes, next. So decentralized ledger, decentralized network, time stamped. Okay, guys, just to explain blockchain, people are charging 10,000 or 12,000 rupees. And you must be very lucky that Prince have brought into SRCC this topics also, because that are good actually, I would say, because just to explain blockchain, people are charging. So I don't know why there is so much of buzz about that. To explain something, there's so much of things on that. So today my attempt will be to explain you blockchain in detail so that you can use that kind of knowledge in accounting and all other transaction. So some of them are telling it's a process in which there is a series of steps which form a complete path for a transaction which cannot be accessed by the third party. One is telling it's a secure system. Okay, so let us see what is blockchain for us, which are brought into the. So it's a shared distributed ledger that facilitate the process of recording transactions and tracking the assets in a business network. It's a shared distributed ledger. Don't you think so, guys? This was previous also there. Previously also we had a distributed network and all sort of things. Don't think that we didn't had any distributed database in our ERP systems. Now previously in Oracle SAP, we also have a distributed digital based system, right? It doesn't mean that we don't have a distributed, we don't have segregation of duties like we have in internal audit. Don't you think so? We have authorization, a secured access system like in SAP and Oracle. We do have that. But what is about blockchain? The blockchain, the biggest beauty about the blockchain is the data is not owned by anyone. Are you getting it? So the data is not stored. It is rather stored in the distributed. It is rather stored in the networks. Are you getting it? It is rather stored in the LAN, I would say. So that is the way the data is stored. So like in SAP, so if you're using SAP, so your data is stored in SAP. So that means SAP company have access to that data, right? Same way if you're using Oracle, Oracle have access to that data. But in case of blockchain, the access is not there with anyone. Rather, it is being distributed across the nodes of the network, right? So everyone have access to that data, but no one can tamper that data, right? So it is a shared distributed ledger that facilitate the process of recording transaction and tracking the assets in the business network. So let us see how it looks like. So if you see there, someone requests a transaction, and the requested transaction is broadcasted to a P2P network, which is peer-to-peer network consisting of computers known as nodes. So this transaction is broadcasted towards all the computers. This network of nodes validate those transactions and the user status using the known algorithms. So there is a language which is gone with blockchain. So I don't want to go in those languages and all. right? So there are various languages which is used. Even Java also is used for blockchain, right? So apart from Python and all sort of languages, so blockchain also has, it can be used with other languages as well. So if you see there, someone requests a transaction, now I have requested say $10. That $10 is being broadcasted to all the networks in the system. Now every network should verify that Sripal have requested a $10 transaction from say Ganesh, right? So that will be broadcasted to all the parties of that system, right? Who all are there, they will validate that. Once everyone approves in the system, then the transaction goes into the next level, right? A verified transaction can involve cryptocurrencies, records, and other information, right? It has no intrinsic value, that is not redeemable for another currency. So we are talking about cryptocurrency. So cryptocurrency is like what we are asking, if you would have heard about Bitcoin, or you might be hearing about Ethereum, Ripple, and all sort of things. So these are these cryptocurrencies, guys. These are digital currencies. So they are not physical currencies. Online you can transact. So previously what used to happen, when you want to send a money, I need to pay so much of transaction cost, right? I need to pay to the brokers, the intermediaries, on all sort of stuff. So now with the Bitcoins and all, you can just transfer the money instantly. Already we are doing it in India. Paytm is one of the option, that is through wallet. But this is not through wallet also. It's just a mere transferring of a money, right? It has no physical form and exists only in the network, right? And its supply is not determined by a central bank, and the network is completely decentralized. As I have already said you, in blockchain, it is not owned by any one of them. It is rather distributed network, right? Where everyone can access, but no one can tamper that data. Everyone need to approve that, then only it goes to the next level, right? I'll go through various examples so that you can understand this very, very easily. Then now once verified, the transaction is combined with other transaction to create a new block of data for the ledger. The new block is added then to the existing blockchain in the way that it is permanent and unalterable. So what if I can alter it? If you alter it, the notification will go to each and every one, and the block will not be getting added. Neither the transaction will get approved. The rationale or the logic behind blockchain is everyone should approve it. That is the thumb rule. If once everyone approves it, then only the transaction goes to the next step. That's why it is known as distributed, decentralized network, because everyone need to approve the transaction. So sir, with this, if with blockchain, I can know that in the bank account, if I've invested $10,000, I can know where my $10,000 is being used by bank for which purposes through blockchain, because they will give me a login ID and password, and I can see all the transactions of bank pertaining to me, right? That is very much possible with blockchain. Today, I don't know if I'm investing in the bank. I don't know where my money is being used by banks. So you can see the transaction, but you cannot alter it. Are you getting it, guys? So everyone who's the party to the system can access the transaction, can see the transaction, but cannot alter the transaction, right? So that is one of the important points which we see in the blockchain. So if you see this, how blockchain helps. So security is one of the most important point. The data is secured because no one, so it is not owned by anyone. So it's very secured. No one can tamper it. It is immutable, right? Scalability, you can easily make it scalable with 1,000, 10,000, 20,000 systems. It is process is very faster with new languages, with new things coming up in blockchain. It is more scalable and less costlier now. Privacy is there now with bankers. I can see where my money is being used through my secured login access and password, right? That will be given to me, and only I can view that transaction, not others, right? Then you can build something also. Then you can reduce the cost and accelerate the transactions. So what is a live case? What we have seen in Andhra Pradesh and Telangana, which we have done it with some of the blockchain companies, what we have seen practically how it have happened, right? So now what AP and Telangana is seeing, that if you might have followed us on LinkedIn, you might have seen Jayesh Ranjan, who's the IT Secretary of Government of Telangana. We had one session for our students where the IT Secretary, who was a IAS, and now he's taking care of the entire blockchain project, which is coming up in Government of Telangana and even in AP also, but due to Chandrababu Naidu not coming up, so that projects have been stalled. But in Telangana, the projects are going up very faster in Hyderabad on blockchain. So what is happening? This was a practical case which we have seen in the blockchain, which was used in the Telangana government. So what have happened, guys? So now tell me how much illegal things are happening up today. We don't know even the ownership is with whom, in whose name the land is registered. That also we have no clarity whatsoever. We need to waste so much of time to get a land registered, to get the property registered in our name. So what are the process, guys? What do you think? To purchase a land, what all are the things you need to see? Yes. To purchase a land, what all are the things you need to see? Yes. Anyone? Linked documents? Yes. Last 20 years, 25 years documents, and we don't know where those documents are stored into. Yes. Apart from the linked documents, his father, his grandfather, and all sort of stuff, right? Apart from the linked document, then you have encumbrance certificate, EC, right? Next, ownership claim. First of all, that property is in the name of that person or not, right? Then next, what is that? That's all. You see only encumbrance certificate and linked documents. Sale deed, okay. So sale deed, so once you'll have agreement with them, then you will do it. And the sale deed of past owners also, you'll take it. Next, yes. The next one, anything else? Will you see in the purchase of a property, disputed property, number of owners? Yes, that we have seen in the ownership claim. Documented is authenticated or not. Nominee is there or not. Surroundings. So I think surroundings here means I think you're looking for the market rate. So if it is there in what? In Delhi, in a posh place, right? So I think the pricing will be more, right? And then if it is not there, if it's there in the town places, the pricing will be less. Yes, next. That is a market valuation report which you'll need to get it. Next, what all are the things? Just imagine, guys, these many documents you need to get it. Just imagine if this would have come in a blockchain, in a distributed technology where everything could have been linked. And then whether the bankers we need to go in for the loan and all, we need to submit the documents. Very important point which you have missed out is the property taxes, whether they have paid the property taxes or not, water bill or not, electricity bill or not, because the addresses doesn't get changed. And then in whose name, whether it is in the name of HUF in order to save the tax and all, or whether it is name in your name and all. So these are so many things which are coming up in just of a purchase of land. So if you have a blockchain, now just imagine, guys, everything is into a distributed system, right? So Sripal has sold land to say Ganesh, right? So Sripal also is into the blockchain system, right? Even the duties and taxes department is into the blockchain system. Land registration department is into the blockchain system. And your say stamps and stamp duty fellows are also into the system, right? And next your anything else, what all has come, EC, encumbrance certificate department, and all sort of departments. So let us assume that everything is into the blockchain system now. The moment Sripal will transfer the property to Ganesh, a notification will go to everyone. I repeat, guys, a notification will go to everyone, and this is known as a smart contract, right? With an inbuilt thing, that login ID, password, a notification. I will have a login ID, password. The seller or the buyer also will have. The buyer will also have a login ID and password, right? You will initiate a transaction. The moment you will initiate the transaction, that particular transaction will be broadcasted towards whom, guys? All the department in the system, whether it be land department, property taxes department, all those departments who are their bankers and everyone. So everyone, once they approve it, then the transaction gets approved and the property from Sripal will go to Ganesh. Now tell me, who is the person who will be eliminated due to this? Yes, guys, who is the first person who will be eliminated through this process? किसका धंधा जाएगा boss इससे? Agents, yes, the intermediaries, right? So that's why there is a noise that in blockchain, the intermediaries will get eliminated. The brokers will get eliminated because we used to pay so much to brokers just to verify whether the documents are correct or not, whether the bankers will take the document or not. So you were paying so much to the brokers. Today, you don't need to pay if the blockchain system is there and it is secured and authorized. You cannot tamper it. Tomorrow, if Ganesh tries to sell it to next person, right? So that transaction will be broadcasted to anyone, others also. See, previously what used to happen, guns were used to be kept on our head and they used to tell, boss, this property transfer there. Now you will not have, everything will be online, everything will be system driven now. So you will not have this illegal forced kind of registrations on the properties. That is the plan which already in Telangana, most of the systems is going online. Nowadays, we are seeing in the property system, they are also taking the pictures and all. the people who have come to the registration and all. So now we are seeing it is going more into the online, and it will sooner go into the blockchain based system where everyone will approve the transaction. Your loan will also get approved faster. Your properties will get authenticated faster. Everything will become faster, right? Because the data is getting distributed and it is getting decentralized among all the departments. Sir, what if registration department chore hai? What if property taxes department chore hai? What if all the people are wrong? Then तो no technology in this world can help. अभी सभी wrong है तो then I think if you ask me a question, sir, if all of them are like this बोले तो then no technology can, then the decentralized system only itself will be defeated. Are you getting it, guys? So that's where you need to understand it's based on a trust. The trustability is there because it is getting distributed. So at least we are expecting that one person will be good in the system. Just imagine, guys, in Punjab National Bank, a bank manager is overriding a transaction. I mean, what the hell? He have just done an LC, letter of credit, and he have just done that by overriding the systems. How can you do that, right? So there was previously bankers used to have their own technology. Finacle was the product, and also bankers have their own product also, banks, and that was not updated that time in PNB's case. So they were entering manually all those LCs and all. Just imagine if it's blockchain is there, can that bank manager override the system? No, because that transaction will get distributed. He cannot approve or he cannot authorize the transaction unless and until the entire chain approves it, right? The entire people who are there in the system should approve the transaction. Then only the transaction will go to the next level. So you might not have had Punjab National Bank fraud also, to be honest, guys. So I think these are some of the live practical cases of blockchain. I can go on and on blockchain, but due to the limitation of time, I'll have to respect that. And see there, blockchain based property records, agent, brokers, everyone is getting covered in the record. Your utility companies, your electricity bills, everything will be getting automated. Your maintenance of land records, municipal authority, property tax. Just imagine, I was buying you wouldn't believe, Surface Pro, Microsoft Surface Pro, which I ordered from US. There was a huge headache. If you won't believe, there were so many hierarchies I need to go in, because my brother unfortunately did rather not sending through some person, he shipped that. So not sending through my mom and dad, he rather shipped that iPhone to me, and see the fun. I was levied GST of 28% on imported goods, and it was being there, it was almost towards confiscation, right? It was there in the system, so many approvals. The custom duty department, then it goes to that department, this department, then clearances department. Just imagine if blockchain is there, the clearances can be so faster. The entire processes or the systems can be made online, and it can be decentralized and distributed. Again, this takes a lot of time. It is not a one-day game. But again, I would see that this will soon become a future. As you have seen in the budget also, our finance minister, late Arun Jaitley, talking about blockchain becoming that government is evaluating blockchain as the next technology. And I would not be surprised that that will be used mostly in the governmental activities more. Right? And in the finance already, all the banking companies are using for their account receivable, accounts payable. Tell me, guys, in accounts receivable and accounts payable, who will be the person who will be eliminated in that process? Any guesses? In accounts receivable and accounts payable, guys, what do you think? Who those persons who will get eliminated from blockchain? What do you think? Any guesses? If anyone who's aware processes, how the payable processes, why will bankers get eliminated? Bankers anyways have to pay for it. You will need to pay to the bankers, right? The company is preparing the ledgers. I would say the person who is verifying purchase orders with this, the verification of invoices and all, right? So now you have a verified technology. Are you getting it, guys? So the in-between people who used to verify that, right? So those verifiers will be out from the system. So the people who used to do all manual stuff in account receivable and account payable, trying to verify the invoices, then approving, doing reconciliations and all, that will no longer be there, because the reconciliations will become automated, right? So cross verifying processes will be eliminated in finance. So account receivable, accounts payable processes will be out. Now we are talking about triple entry accounting systems, right? So one is the entry, we'll put it in the blockchain. One is the entry of GST. So see the GST entries, now they are being entered. So we will enter the GST entries into the blockchain, whereby the buyer and the seller, everyone can see their GST inputs and outputs and can avail accordingly. Right? That's what is a triple entry accounting system we are talking about. Then we are talking about the various income tax returns, which we use to verify. You will not need a tax return preparer, TRPs. You don't need a chartered accountant form 16. All those sort of things will be all done through blockchain itself. So all the verifiability in the income tax returns. Also, these are all the things which will happen in the future. Not so in 1 year or 2 years, but definitely in the next 3-4 years, you will see that technology will take a bigger shape, right? So these are some of the things which you'll need to be aware of in blockchain, which is gaining a lot of momentum today with their various things which are coming up. And that's all I had in this 1 hour, 5 minutes. I'm sure I have not taken much time. I have not bored you people. Yes. Any questions, guys? So what is the use of Bitcoin when in the end it has to be converted into other currency like US dollar to find its value? So I think the Bitcoin is not much having, so the only advantage of Bitcoins is its scarcity. And that's why the price will always be there. The valuation will always be there for Bitcoin because the Bitcoins itself are very scarce, like gold. Gold is very scarce, right? The production cannot produce a lot, right? Production is limited to a certain extent. Same goes in with Bitcoin. But again, I don't want to go into the mathematics because that itself is a big subject. So it has its value, but not so high. So BCom plus MCom plus CMA is a better career option. Yes. Is US CMA better to pursue than Indian CMA? Again, if your career is more into US companies and all, more into doing the FP&A of the US companies which are operating in India, then I would say that is a better one. Planning to go for masters abroad. So will you suggest to go for masters in this digital currencies or this fintech areas? I would suggest that you can go in for data analytics or blockchain. That would be a good course to have on this rather than on this digital currencies. All right. How do you foresee blockchain becoming a major technology? Government and government companies first, followed by private companies picking up? Yes, I think government and government companies will definitely use it. And then we will see banks are already using blockchain. We have seen Barclays already using it. So most of the banks have already adopted. JP Morgan, Morgan Stanley. So even Starbucks also now is using Bitcoins for some of their transactions in US. So already they are doing it. It's not that private companies are not doing it. But yes, we will see the major participation first from government and government companies. How bad will be the effect of blockchain on chartered accountancy profession? I think CAs, I would say they will need to be more decision making now. The accountancy can get automated due to artificial intelligence, RPA and all. So audit profession can be automated through blockchain. So there are a lot of things, but again, big fours are coming up with new business, which is auditing the blockchain itself. So can you believe? So they have got a new business now, big fours. Now they will try to audit blockchain, whether blockchain itself is functioning properly or not. For that, big fours are charging a lot to the companies. So big fours will always have their revenues, guys. So don't worry. So will abroad companies hired on permanent basis? Yes, definitely yes. CA or CMA or CFA, which has more scope of India in long run, every qualification has, whether we CPA, CA, CMA, CFA, every qualification in India has a scope. It is more important that what skill set you have and how passionate you are. That will determine how longer you will go in your career, right? If CMA is focusing on accounts or CMA is focusing on finance domain, it's more towards finance domain. It's more on the technology and analytics. So CMA is more based from management accountancy perspective, if I would want to say. So can you tell the name of institutions in India who are providing CMA? So I think we also provide US CMA, CPA and all. We don't provide CFA, FRM, which I have already discussed. We also don't provide CFE. These are some popular qualifications which we don't provide, but these are because I don't want to promote any of these institutes, including me. So you can do your own due diligence and find out which is a better one, who's doing a good job in these qualifications. So what is a common quality should we have in the corporate world to grow and survive? I would say the common quality which is there in the corporate world to grow and survive is be responsible, take a lot of activities once you join in the organization, know their structure, what is their hierarchy, what are their products, what is their divisions, know the entire process of the company. First you know the process, then it would make more sense to grow faster because you will know where their revenues are coming from, which processes, which departments, which products are growing. That would be the first thing which you would need to take. And second thing is you need to be more responsible, take up initiatives on your own, drop in a mail to your manager, drop in your mail to your finance controller that I want to do this, I want to do that. Do some Thursday reads, Friday reads, send some articles, share some knowledge articles. So these are certain proactive things which you can do, right? So that is one quality which will make you to go up the corporate ladder very faster. The more you will know about the departments, the hierarchies, the more responsibilities you will take, the better you will grow and survive. So I am working as a financial analyst working for the US clients. Can I pursue with CMA? I think yes, that's a good option. If you're working for the US clients, I think US CMA is the better choice. Yep. So I'm planning to do an MBA in finance. So which certification would be best suited with it? CFA, Mansi. I'm not aware who provides CFA in India actually, but I think Ashwini Bajaj, I have heard a lot about Ashwini in LinkedIn. So I think you would definitely try to see there if he provides. I think because I've seen him doing a lot of the stuff on CFA in LinkedIn. So you can just do a due diligence. If you're doing to do a MBA in finance, I would say CFA is a better choice. Okay, Prim, thank you.
Thank you, sir. You have really enlightened us on various opportunities. We are grateful to you for giving us your time. Thank you once again.